Welcome to math class. Today we're going to learn about time. Yay! So I'm going to be teaching you the concept of time. All right? But we are going to learn how to tell the time to the hour and half past. Okay, so at the end of today's lesson, you will be able to tell when it is 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, or 12:30, half past 12. Okay, now let's begin by first defining what is time. So, time can be defined as the duration in which all things happen, or a precise instant that something happens. I'm sure this definition is clear, so let's begin. Now, what instrument is used to measure time? Did you say clock? Correct! So, a clock is the instrument used to measure time. So, whenever you're in doubt, you don't know what time it is, who do you ask? Mr. Clock. All right? Now, we have said that a clock is the instrument used to measure time. Also, it is important to note that a clock has two hands. Two hands? Like yours and mine? No! The hands of a clock are different from yours and mine. The clock has the long and the short hand. The long hand is the minute hand, and the short one is the hour hand. So you see, they're different from ours. Your both hands are equal. But for a clock, no, one is longer than the other. Okay, so what is the minute hand used for? The minute hand, which is the long hand, tells you when it is a particular time. So look at the clock on the screen. You can see the two hands. One is the long hand, which is the minute hand pointing to 12. And the shorter hand is pointing to 3. What does this tell you? Well, let's hang on a bit and move to the next slide. Types of clocks. I'm going to tell you that there are many types of clocks. But for this lesson, I'm going to limit you to just 2. Okay, we have so many types of clocks, but we're talking about just 2 here. And these are the analog and the digital clock. Now, the digital clock is usually the clock that you have as children. Most children's wristwatches come in digital form because it is very easy to read. Okay, that's why your wristwatches are made in this form. Also, the alarm clocks by your bed, they are also digital. They're very easy. It just tells you the time, what time it is. It's written there. And like for instance, you can see this one is exactly 2 o'clock. So it's easy to read. But today we're going to concentrate more on the analog clock. This is much more difficult for you to read as a child. So you need to learn it because you see it everywhere. On your walls at home, in school, in the offices, on some streets. So you need to be able to read them when you see them. So let's learn how to read them. So, o'clock. When do we say it is a particular time? When do we say it is o'clock? When? Well, when the long hand, which is the minute hand, is on 12, and the short hand, which is the hour hand, is on any number, we say it is something o'clock. So for example, the time on the screen you can see is 1 o'clock. Take a good look at it. It is 1 o'clock. How do we know it is 1 o'clock? Well, we can say it is 1 o'clock because the long hand, which is the minute hand, is on 12, while the short hand, that is the hour hand, is pointing to 1. Can you see this clearly? Yes, it is clear. Now, take note that the two hands are, one is on 12, which is the longer hand, exactly on 12. It is not before, it is not after. It is pointing exactly to 12 o'clock. While the shorter hand, which is the hour hand, is on 1. When the numbers are clearly pointed to these two numbers like this, you can say it is 1 o'clock exactly. Okay? Let's continue now. What time is it? Can you tell? Now, I have this Mr. Clock here rotating to tell you how the movement of a clock goes. It goes round and round. The clock is clockwise. The movement goes round and round until it settles. So if you're looking at the white clock, which is moving, you can see it's very fast when it's on 1 o'clock. I wanted you to see that the two numbers, yes, you can see the two numbers are pointing to 12 when it's 12 o'clock. Can you see? Good. So in this case, you say it is 12 o'clock because both numbers are on 12. Okay? Now, the yellow clock says 1 because the long hand is on 12 and the short hand is pointing to 1. How about the blue clock? Where is the long hand? It's on 12 and the short 3. What does that tell you? It tells me it is 3 o'clock. It's so easy to read o'clock. All right, I'm sure you got that right. Now, tell me the time. Can you do that? Oh, Mr. Clock is dancing. Okay, so let's look at the time, the owl clock. What time does it say? I can't hear you. 5 o'clock, yay! Why? Because the long hand is on 12 and the short hand is pointing exactly to 5. How about the blue clock? I think this is, what time do you think? 11 o'clock. Why? Because the long hand is on 12 and the short hand is pointing exactly to 11. All right. Thank you, Mr. Clock, for telling us what time it is. Okay, now we're moving to half past. How do we know it is half past a particular time? Well, it's also easy. When the minute hand is on 6, we say it is half past. So, because we're talking about half past, just the minute hand is showing on this clock, as you can see. And where is it? The number is circled with the red. Can you see it? Yes. What number is that? 6. So the clock is actually divided into 2 equal parts now. It is on 6, not on 12. So anytime the long hand, which is the minute hand, is on 6, you can say it is half past that particular time where the shorthand hand has moved away from. We'll learn about that, but note here the important thing is the long hand, which must be on 6 to tell you it is half past. Okay, let's continue. Now, what time is it? This is where you need to be very careful. So here, this green clock tells me, and the white and black clock tells me it is 2:30. It is 2:30, or you say 2:30. Why? Notice here that the long hand is on 6, like we said earlier. But where is the short hand? Is it on 2? Not exactly. It is on 3? Not exactly. So where is it? Can you see that it is in the middle, pointing to the middle of 2 and 3? Yes. That shows that the time has moved past 2 o'clock. It's going to 3. But because the long hand is not yet on 12, it is not 3 o'clock yet. And because the long hand is not on 2, because the long hand is not on 12 and the short hand on 2, it is not even 2 o'clock. So what has happened? The long hand has moved past 12, is settled on 6, and the short hand has also moved past 2 and is gradually going to 3. So because the long hand is on 6, we say it is 2:30 or 2:30. Did you get that logic? Yes, it's quite easy. Just put your mind to it. You will learn this really fast. I'm sure some of you already know how to do this. Okay, so note that while the minute hand is on 6, the hour hand has moved past 2, but it's not yet on 3. So we say it is 2:30. Okay, or 2:30. Either way you write it is correct. Okay? Yes. Okay. So what time is it? Let's tell the time. It is 8:30, as you can see on the screen. This first clock says 8:30. Why? Because the long hand is on 6 and the short hand has moved past 8. It's no longer on 8. So it is 8:30. How about this other clock? It is 3:30. Can you explain that? Yes. Also because the long hand is on 6 and the short hand is in between 3 and 4, it has moved past 3. So we say 3:30. It's not 4:30. Okay? It's not yet 4. So it's 3:30. You must note that. You must know that the time you're calling, the shorthand must have moved past that time to say it is 3:30 that time. Okay? Tell the time yourself. Can you do this? I'm sure you can. This white and black clock tells me it is 10:30. So it is 10:30 or 10:30. And this other one, 3:30 or 3:30. Easy peasy. Okay, so here are some of the points we have considered, some of the points for you to remember. So what have we learned today? We've learned that the instrument used to measure clock time is a clock. And the clock has 2 hands, the long, which is the minute hand, and the short, the hour hand. Then we also said that when the long hand is on 12, it is called o'clock. And when the long hand is on 6, it is called half past. Okay, I hope you're confident enough to be able to tell the time all by yourself. Now, I have an evaluation for you here, as you can see. Let's test your confidence. Let's see if you can tell the time. So easy, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The first two you're telling o'clock, and the second is half past. The second two half past. And then number 5, what you're simply going to do is draw 6 o'clock for me. Let your long hand and your short hand show me 6 o'clock. All right? All the best. That will be all. Bye.